To everyone. Shalom. Okay, so thanks for coming. I want to thank Isaac Kerem. He's an expert in US genealogy, Sephardic, and he helped me when I came to Israel. He was very useful. And once again, I want to thank you for that opportunity. Also to my father, which is here, my wife, my daughter, the smallest one, okay, Annabella, and all of you, one-on-one, thanks for coming. So, this lecture is a new lecture for me, and it's also in English, so it's twice new. So we have lots of videos, lots of photos, lots of explanations to give. I will make it as simple as possible, just to give you an idea of the size of the investigation. The presentation is based on this book, okay, which is my father's side, which is from Persia, and here he was born in Tel Aviv. And the second book, which is not published, is about my Turkish side from my mother. My mother is overseas now, that's why she's not here. So here I'm sharing with you the combination of both stories. So that's why I wrote this Yecutieli Bicaco from Persia, Istanbul, Venezuela, and Israel. And the reason I choose this title is because of my small girl, my small daughter. She asked me, are we Sephardic or are we Ashkenazi? And when I try to tell her that we are from here, she got confused on the way. So today you will have the opportunity to understand that this is her half. Because if we take my wife's side is Russia and Morocco and Argentina, it gets more and more complicated. So we're going to talk about all this. We're going to talk of all these countries, and it's a journey that I want to share with you. And the journey goes to Israel, Venezuela, Istanbul, and Persia. Okay, we're going to talk. The conference is divided in 4 areas. The first area will be so the agenda, the presentation is divided in 4 areas. We're going to talk about Jerusalem, because from Iran, from Persia, they arrived to Jerusalem. Then we'll go to Turkey, Venezuela, where I lived there and I was born there. All about how I published this book, the methodology about this book, and then some reflections. And the reason I do all this, okay, because first of all, I want to honor my ancestors. Second, I want to encourage other families to do this. I like very much what I'm doing as a hobby, so hopefully other families like you would like to do it, and to transmit the experience for this research. So I am the father of Sigal, Yael, and Tamar. Tamar, she's the youngest, she's here. Okay, the second one is in the army, and the first one, Sigal, is after the army, now in South America. I was born in Maracay, Venezuela, so I am 3rd generation in Venezuela. My wife is here, Marcela, and I am involved in the research genealogy since 1995 because I wanted to give an honor to my grandfather, which I have his first and last name. And this presentation, okay, usually all my presentations are based on that book and are for my grandfather, which is Samuel Yecutieli. It's the first time I'm going to speak about my other grandfather, the Turkish one. And in this opportunity, I want to dedicate it, it's the first time I want to dedicate it to my father. Okay? So here are my daughters. Okay, as an opportunity to thank my wife for the work she's doing with them. Okay, and here are the studies I did. And these are the 2 books, the one you're seeing, which is published, and the second one, which is almost finished, but not published. These are all the events I have been doing about the book, but basically the other book, the one published. The second book, which is the Turkish one, is the first, as I told you, the first one. And these are many places I've been there. Daniel Horowitz, which is our host, he has always been with me since the first one I did in Tel Aviv University, which he was my host. And Daniel, thank you. Here he is. That's him. That was about 15 years ago or more. With her, yes, with her. So these are all the events. And I put here a candle because now I realize that every time I speak about both books, I am remembering my ancestors. And it's a way to keep their memory alive. So where it all started? Well, in Dizengoff Square, Picard Dizengoff, it started there. My father was in Venezuela. My father, he was born in Tel Aviv, but he was already in Venezuela working with my grandfather. He came and he went to visit a friend of his, that also from Venezuela, and there he met my mother, which was traveling, visiting Israel with her father. They met there. 1 year later, they got married. Okay, so it was really fast. Huh? I was fast. They got married. She was very, very young. Okay, and they got married. This is the only photo I have of my four grandparents on the wedding. Is the only one I have because they only met for the wedding. And today, I find out they went after the wedding. They went to Greece, but I don't have pictures of them together. So this is the only picture of all of them, and this is the family tree, the genealogical tree for the family he constructed. And here you can see a collage dedicated to my parents. And then we go to Bushehr, which is in Paras, where my grandfather was born. And I found it in the thumb. This is his father, the father of my father. And here it says Yosef Yaakov Bushehr Yecutieli. So I know Yecutieli. I found here his father's name, Yaakov, to give me an opportunity to go one back. But why Bushehr? So I got a doubt. Maybe that's our last name. So it happens to be Isaac that people, they put where they come from. So Bushehr is not our last name, but it's a proof that we come from there. Okay, so here we found it. This is Bushehr. When I found out the first time, okay, about a few years ago, I realized that the nuclear plant is in Bushehr. So I was in shock. In addition, it was a combination that Chavez in Venezuela was very close to Ahmadiyyan. So wow, so I'm from Venezuela, my grandfather so it was I am a terrorist because everything is complicated. Okay, so so here they are, and then one of the other things is that was important to have the location. How did they arrive to Israel, or more to Jerusalem? Because they want to come to Jerusalem. There was one way to the river, the Green, or the other way that they came through the sea, all the way around to the sea, enter Jaffa, and from Jaffa the train to Jerusalem. So the reason I give you this book I received, one of the things one of the message is that this is a puzzle we have to build. I received this book from Bushehr to Eretz Israel. I found this was about 2 months ago. A person, he happens to be my neighbor, and he is from Bushehr. He was born there. He's the first person I know, besides my grandfather. He gave me a book, which was very difficult to read, where I used ChatGPT and I translated all the book, and I had many questions. So I asked ChatGPT based on the transcription of the book, and I received many, many answers. The other thing is that this family that arrived from Bushehr, they are all in the Mount of Olives. Okay, that was very impressive. We have 5 tombs in the Mount of Olives, and for the Jewish is central. And in that point of view, as a Jew that live overseas, that we have 4 generations that are buried in Jerusalem, which for a Jew from that lives outside, and none of them were born in Israel. They all wanted to be buried here. So that's another privilege that relates my family to the Jewish history. Here is a Sefer Tefillah, a Sidur, and here is written in Solitreo about my grandfather. That he was here. You see in the side, his uncle wrote that today was born this boy. The problem is everything is okay besides the name. The name is Shlomo, and my grandfather is Shmuel.
This is your Persian side, not your Sephardic.
What? This is the Persian.
Right.
Yes, this is
so
Persian.
Under the Sephardic council. That's what's interesting.
Okay. So here is written about everything, but the only detail that my grandfather is Shmuel, and here is written Shlomo ben Yosef. So it happened that my grandfather, when he was about 1 year old, he got very, very sick. So they changed his name to from Shlomo to Shmuel and stay Shmuel. But this is another proof. By the way, inside my family, when I showed them this, it's not true. It's not. And then he remembered his oldest brother. Yes, once he told me that he had a different name as well. So here is the proof, the date, everything matches, but the date, the name. Here is this person who's bringing me in the month of August, the 5, he brought me here. I met him in Venezuela. I was in a party. That's why I always tell you this is a puzzle. I was in a party. An old man comes to me and he tells me, "You're Yecutieli?" Yes. Well, I know. He tells me all the story. I just ignore him. I went to my grandfather on Shabbat and I told him, "Yes, all what he told you is true." So the next time, about 6 months later, I came to Jerusalem. I went to visit him, and he took me to the cemeteries. And what you see here, the 5 is when about 2 or 3 times, I used to have Shabbat with my grandfather, and he told me this way about the tombs. Okay, this way. I never, until I went to the place, and that's why Mount of Olives is inclined. It's a hill. So when you have them here, you see? So now I understood why he opened the hand and showed me, and here I found the explanation. And those are the 5 places. Additionally, those tombs, those graves were destroyed by the Jordans between 48 and 67. And in 69, he came with this man, this person that took me, okay, and they do the restoration of the 5 graves. On top is original, but here is very dark, and beside and on the side. The other thing is you don't see it here, but the name is there. When you go to the Mount of Olives, it's very difficult to find the graves. So he wrote the name on the side here, and it helps me a lot to find it. Here is for whoever wants to do a genealogy, you get to this website, and I started looking, and I found lots of information. For example, this is my great-grandmother, okay? And I obtained lots of information about the grave, and where it's located, and the date, and everything. Even though I have the date, but I have it all digital. So it's an excellent place to find information in. Here is my grandfather and my grandmother from my father's side, okay? And here is steady colic. And the reason I put there, because one day, my grandfather get lost for a few hours. He was with steady colic, and he purchased him 8 slots for him, his wife, and his sons. So they all have there, okay? All up to the from 8-4 are being used, okay? And here also next to the president of Israel, Yitzhak Ben Tzvi. They are one next to the other, so it's a very nice location, which is like my father, my grandfather. He always liked good locations, and he had it next to the president, Yitzhak Ben Tzvi. And the other reason I use it, the Yitzhak Ben Tzvi, because this institute has been very useful for me for the Sephardic investigation. I found lots of information in the Ben Tzvi Institute, which is in Jerusalem. So here in Jerusalem, with the story of my family has been the center of my heritage. In this book, once I finished, I did a search, and I have 270 mentions, which means how important that city is in our family, which is also true for the Jewish, okay? And all the graves, the tombs I found in Jerusalem, none of them were born in Israel. They all they came especially for that. Is that important? And now we go to Istanbul, which is the other half. In Istanbul, as you can see here, the Bosphorus, which is very, very important. You see here, Istanbul, as you may know, is divided in two: the Europe side and the Asian side, and the Bosphorus. And one of the things, that I found out how important the Bosphorus is inside Istanbul, and also in my family. These are the passports I found. This is my grandmother, the mother of my mother, and this is my aunt. And those two are twins, which also was very, very interesting when they were born. So here the Turkish passport. Grandmother and grandpa. So, not Turkish, in Ladino, they say grandpapa and grandmama. That's why I write it here. What is interesting here that I flew to Istanbul. I stayed with my aunt, my mother's, and I rescued 500 pictures. I remember it was about 20 years ago. I went there at night. We took from the closet, brought down some luggages and boxes, and we took review photos until very, very late. I took 500 pictures, which I took pictures of them the next day. I scanned them, and in that way, I discovered my grandfather from my mother's side. He died when I was about 7 years old, and I think I met him twice, so I don't really remember him. So this way, with all the 500 pictures that I rescued, I had the opportunity to reconstruct his life about 65 years. And I could take many conclusions since he was 16 until 75 when he died. So I can see the way he dressed, which I can, very, very elegant, all the places they went. So, they have a very elegant life. And you can see with all the collage I did, and from the genealogical point of view, how these big photos that were upstairs, old, some of them bad condition, how we can restore them and give them life. So here is our life for my family in Turkey, all the places. This is another resource I did. I did collage. In some cases, I had lots of photos. So instead of having one, I did some collage, and you can see all the pictures we did. This is a document that my grandfather had the building. It was before the Turkish government, and there was the Ottoman, and they were asking for taxes. okay, especially for the minorities. If you don't pay the taxes, they take you to the army. So here I found this document. The building the building was the name Leila, which is his oldest daughter, and he had to sell the building to pay the taxes and not being sent to this place, Ashkelon, which is a labor camp, and most of the people that went there didn't go back. So
this was in 42 during the house.
Before the okay, it's like this is relatively new. Some guy from Israel called me. He was expert in this family, Ben Morais, and he told me he gives me this list, and he tells me that I'm the 13th generation of this family. Whoever is involved in genealogy, in my case, I have 3 generations back. I was very, very proud. This guy gives me, you see here the list. I am here 13, and my daughter is 14 generation. It happens, this is a family of rabbis, which I belong. And Ben Morais is a very special name. It's because it's acronymous. It's a composed name, which means son of our honored teacher rabbi. So this guy from Israel, which is, he died, Rafael Ventura, do you know him, Itzhak? Rafael Ventura? He contacted me, and Rafael Ventura, which is a professor, he's specialized in this family. I met him later, and it was fascinating to find that I belong to rabbis, and I went back 13. Okay, they live. It's like they are from Edirne, which is with Greece.
No.
The frontier.
No, yeah, but it's Turkey.
Turkey.
From 1919 to 1923 it was under Greece. But the whole time it was Ottoman and then modern.
Okay, and by the way, this one, the first, Isaac Ashkenazi, was involved with the chapter 3. That's what the book says. This here is a secret. Here I found the ketubah of my great-grandparents, okay, were Joseph Bicaco and Esther Ben Morais. Esther Ben Morais is the mother of my grandfather, okay, and in the ketubah, it says Mr. Joseph, which means that he was his second marriage, okay, and it says here that the lady is pregnant. Is pregnant, but is pregnant from him, okay, so the ketubah, so they were married, okay, and by the way, today, he was the grandson of him was supposed to be here, and I think he doesn't know about this secret. He canceled because he got sick, but I think he doesn't know that his father was conceived before the marriage. But here, Esther Ben Morais is here. That's her. That's the only photo I have of her. Here is my grandmother, my grandfather. And here, this is my father, doesn't know. This is another secret. When they got married, she was also pregnant. So her grandson, her granddaughter, Yecutieli. So this is the oldest sister of my mother. She was also pregnant. Okay. But they were married for more than 60 years. He died last year. So that's a secret of the family. Yesterday, I spoke with my aunt, and she told me that it happens in that family. There are many secrets. The communication between parents, and was not that common as today. Listen, this is another. It's like maybe you see this phenomenon. I found many graves from my family. This is Esther Ben Morais, which is the mother of my grandfather.
That's in Iran, not in.
No, this is Istanbul.
They moved to Istanbul.
Yeah. All the life was in Istanbul.
I want to be perfect. They come after the 35.
No. All this is Istanbul. Edirne is just Ben Morais, that family, and everything happens in Istanbul. In any event, what I want to show you here is all these graves. This is the first one, my great-grandmother and her son, besides my grandfather. All what is written here is in a poetic epitaph. Here is in Ladino, then I write to here in English, but in English doesn't make sense. When you see it in English, hondura, pura, amargura, faltura, edad, dignidad, verdad, everything rhymes. And I found it 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, when you see it here, you won't notice. I did this arrangement. I found it by mistake. I didn't mean. When you see it, it's written all continuously. When I wrote it this way, and the message here is very relevant, by the way. It's very related to the person. So it was a nice, I don't know if you've seen them or it's like these things.
This is from the Haskoy Cemetery?
No, yes.
So that today, I don't know if you know, that's online.
Maybe, with Mina Rosa and all this project.
Yeah.
So okay. In any event,
it's online.
Okay.
You don't have to go.
Okay. In this case, I was there, and I have to find the graves. It was not easy. I have to find it. What I wanted to share with you is that this rhyme. The other thing I found in Istanbul. This is my mother's cousin, and some of you may remember the suicide bombing that happened in Istanbul. Welcome. In Istanbul, this is my cousin's mother. He was assassinated there. That's his grave. That's the destruction of the Neve Shalom. Okay, that's the, and here, when I interview, he has Joseph, he has the brother and sisters. Okay, Joseph used to work in El Al, and they keep on telling me that this suicide bombing happened because they came after him, because he worked for the Mossad. That's their story. True or not true, I don't have proofs, but they have here the plaque in Neve Shalom. That's another secret of the family. This here is my uncle, okay, which died. And the reason I share with you, this is also the Bosphorus, and how the cemetery, you can see also the Bosphorus. And this is the other one, the another uncle, which he died 2 weeks before in September last year, September before what happened here in Israel. And I didn't realize that I didn't go to Istanbul for 24 years. When I was on my mind, yes, I was here 5 years ago, 8 years ago. When I realized I was 24 years ago that I took my wife. Back then, she was not my wife. She was my girlfriend, and we went to visit Istanbul. That was the last time. And here, my grandfather, many times, always told me, "Shenipagesh rak besmachot." Okay, that we meet. She was not pregnant. Okay, we married in 2000, and the first girl born in 2002. My grandfather told me that sentence many times. I understood the meaning, the word, but I understood the meaning. And the meaning is that you meet during happiness, but you meet during sad moments. And here I realized with the death of my uncle that all the family met for, and by the way, it's like this cemetery, or Takoy, has from 1700. Very, very old graves there. This is my great-grandmother, okay? And this is another secret. I interviewed her granddaughter, where they lived together. He died, there was about 20 years difference between them. And when I interviewed her granddaughter, she told me in Ladino, me partieron de mi novio. And that phrase, okay, I was separated from my fiance. No, no. What happened is, okay, what happened is, Bella Ben Basat, she had a boyfriend, but her older sister, which already had 6 kids, with the birth of the 6th kid, she died. So it's not a law. It's when the sister dies, the younger sister, which is not married, has to marry. Once again, it's not a law. It's just
Custom.
a custom. Okay.
Rule.
It's called.
Rule. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. In any event, she was asked to marry Judah Gershon, which was 20 years older than her, with six kids. She had a boyfriend, and what the granddaughter, when I interviewed her, and they lived together, okay, that until the last day she had the photo of that man. Y me partieron nomás. From this marriage, were born 3 kids, and my grand. Okay, what I did investigate that there were no difference between the 3 from the second marriage from the one. They all feel like brothers. They didn't make any difference. By the way, today I spoke with the family of the first half, and bienvenidos. So that's another secret. I don't think it happens more today that a sister is asked to marry in case she died, but this is our case. Here, this is my grandmother. This is my last photo with her. Okay, I went to visit her, and here my father enters. I was accepted for my master. I went to study. I was accepted. So I called my father. Listen, they called me. I will start studying. So he gave me an airline ticket to visit my grandmother before I started to study. So I went. This is our last photo together. And this is the last time she went out. She went out. Here in the back is the Bosphorus. We returned home. I returned to Venezuela, went to study, and since then she got lost until she died. I mean, it was the last time we shared. And this is her sister. This is her sister, this sister, from the same father and mother. And she's the mother of Joseph, which we just saw that was killed in the suicide bomb. And I went to Washington especially to visit her because I wanted to hear her voice.
El ladino era lengua de sefaradís. Como ya te tengo contado, yo crecí en un ambiente absolutamente
their
ladino
voice
hablante.
was exactly the same. So what I wanted is to record her voice. So I had the trip, and I went especially. So I have a memory of the voice, but it was exactly the same. So that's another. Once again, you see how we're talking about tracing my family. So that's the way you trace a family. You build a puzzle, a combination of things. Ortokoinishanta, Shishli.
Not very many people live in Orthodox.
Okay. Here my sister, she's also here. She's involved. This was last year. Okay, this is with my sister last year. Just before the 7th of October, my uncle died, so we went to Istanbul. Okay, and even though we walked in Istanbul, and I just feel like at home. I wasn't there for 24 years, and I was walking around. We were together, and I feel very comfortable. I understand the language. I cannot speak, but I understand everything. And we walked, and we went to my grandmother's house, my grandparents' house, where I lived there once. I lived there for about five months. So this is the house here. We went walking there in front of the mosque, and I asked my sister. She can speak Turkish. So we went inside the house and we entered the apartment. It was an experience, an incredible experience. Here you see the photo of the inside apartment. When I want to share here, and all this is all the time. In the morning, 3 times a day, 5 times. Okay, and I remember all the noise, all the this. So it was very important. Once we were inside the apartment, obviously the apartment now is an office for lawyers. So I went inside and I told him, here's the bathroom. The guy didn't believe that I remember. Here was a door, here was the bathroom, because they made some changes. And it was a great, and one of the things I want to share here is the coexistence of 2 cultures, how the Jews and the Muslims live together. Here, that picture was taken by her, by my sister. This is the janitor. His father was the janitor back then. So it's the other thing is common in the investigation, the research in my Turkish side is the food. I mean, in this, from my father's side, the food is not an issue. But when we go to the Turkish side, the food is very, very important. And when I see the book I wrote, so here, just when I went there, all the food I had, porfitro, lahmacun, whatever. I ate just everything in those days I was there. So the food is very important. Also in genealogy, is an issue. Here, this is amazing. This is when I went as I told you, I went to my uncle for the cemetery, and I stayed at my aunt's house, and she receives every day the newspaper. I was there about 5 days. This is the newspaper, this name, this was 1 week, 10 days before the 7th of October, like the end of September. And there was the general, in the United Nations, Erdogan met Netanyahu. Okay, and 3 different days, Netanyahu was on the front page, like they were the best friends. When I saw it before the 7th of October, I couldn't believe what I was reading in the newspaper. Okay, so as you can see how things change from one point to the other. Here they're talking about the energy comparison, listen. The main newspaper, Erdogan and Netanyahu. Obviously, a few days later, things changed dramatically. And now we go to Venezuela. Okay, Venezuela, one of the things I have plans is 100 years that my grandfather arrived to Venezuela. Anabela, son 100 años. Okay. So I have plans to do some events. Actually, this will be the first event that I remind my grandfather. 100 years ago, we arrived there, where we built a home, a legacy, and we were integrated to a vibrant community. Annabella, she's here. She was in charge. She's the general manager, the boss of the Jewish community, and I am very proud of the job they did in Venezuela. We have a great community. Obviously, that community, because of the political situation, it's in very bad conditions, but we have a great life there. And here you have documents of my grandfather. Okay, but what I want to show you, look at his name, Yecutieli. I mean, it's not what happened there. When he arrived to immigration, he said Yecutieli, and the guy wrote this name. There's no relation to anything. And you can see all the documents. But when he signs Yecutieli like we do. Okay, so he said, and you have all the documents. This is a document, by the way, I used a few weeks ago about one of his properties, and you see Samuel Joseph Yecutieli. But you see, look at his signature, Yecutieli, like I write it, like my father write it, I do write it. The other thing is why I don't have an answer. We write it. You told me about Yecutieli. The one you showed me is with K. Okay, we are the only ones that write it with C. I don't have an explanation for this. Okay, why we have it in C, but we are the only ones. By the way, I haven't found family from Yecutieli. We are the only ones. I didn't find. There are many Yecutielis, but I didn't find any relation. And here with K, I think, by the way, the right way to write it is with K, because Yecutieli in Hebrew is with Kuf. I think this is what?
The name Yecutieli, where it comes from.
Yecutieli is a name in the Bible. It's one of the names of Moses. Yes. From my point of view, in Bushehr, that's what it started. I don't have, that's all the information I have. They come from Bushehr. What happened previously? So it's a name, Yecutieli is a name in the Bible. It's one of the names of Moses. And it means Yecutieli here, Kiviti El. Tomar is the Kiviti Esperanza, the hope. Okay. Here, this is the first Yecutieli that was born in Venezuela, Josefa Hitul Yecutieli. Okay, his mother, that's the grave. Okay, after the birth, his mother died. He's the first one. This is the only grave, the only tomb we have in Venezuela that belongs to Yecutieli. I was the last one that left Venezuela. When I left with my wife. I am the last one. Today, there is no Yecutieli in Venezuela. And this is the only grave we have there from 1931. Okay, where Joseph was born. Here is Joseph. When we did celebrate his 90 years old with the other Joseph, which is the oldest brother of my father. Both of them are Joseph. For the name of the Joseph I showed you from Bushehr, that grave I showed you, both of them are under that name. Okay, here's the passport. Okay, for the one. Here's the meeting we have, the reunion. This is both Joseph. This is his brother. Okay, and on October 7th, his grandson of Joseph killed a terrorist. He was in Kibbutz Nirim. Okay, he was inside with his 3 daughters. A terrorist came inside. He was in the miklat. He had an opportunity. This is on the TV. He opened the door, shot the guy, shot the terrorist, and he was rescued about 18 hours later. And so the girls won't see the dead body. They went out through the window. It was a very difficult case. So this is the Nirim. We are related to Nirim, and from Venezuela. This is the invitation to my Brit Milah. Today I was talking to my father about this, and they didn't know the boy was coming. I am the first Yecutieli, the first boy, because previously there are girls. Well, he told me that my grandfather, got excited, and I never seen an invitation which is printed, because you don't know if it's boy, it's a girl back then. So here is the invitation of mine. And here is the story in one page of the business of my family, which is the building. It's a department store. Okay, and here I did a collage. It's difficult to see it, but here I did a collage So how he started from a small store until he constructed a very large store with the building. Okay, this is in 1952. Later, this was destroyed and he constructed the building. Here is my mother. Here I am inside. As you can see, they were married already. Okay, and here's the store, Sammy. Okay, Sammy comes from Samuel, and that was she's pregnant here. This is about April, and I was born in June. Here was the plans, the architectural design. Esto fue Sambil, Oscar. Sambil lo hizo, and this is the signature of Salomón Cohen. Whoever is from Venezuela, you know, makes sense. And this is the invoice. This invoice, I found it 1 month ago. Okay, this invoice was Constructora Sambil is a very important construction company. They built the building, and I found it. We sold this building 1 month ago. 2 months ago, we sold the building. 1967. Yeah, so it was very. Annabella, huh? Okay, so the buyer found this document, and the buyer sends me. Okay, I asked my father how much the building cost, and he missed the number. He told me a number which is not true. He gave me the number. But the number here is the construction. The number he gave me is with everything inside, which is the elevators and the electronics and the. This is for us. We are closing here a chapter. We sold this building. This building is very, very important for us. By the way, the building and me, we are almost the same age. I have the name also. This is in Maracay. This is in Maracay. So we are very, very related. And we just sold the building, which was very, very difficult. It was a very long process. We are still dealing with that process. But with this is the 3 brothers. This is my father, the oldest one. Okay, we are closing a chapter. This is the last property the brothers have together. So, you know, we are closing some issue. And the other thing I wanted to share you, look at the signature. The 3 brothers, the signatures are very, very similar. And I asked an expert of signatures, and they told me it's related to the DNA. Okay, they're very, look at them. This is a month ago. This is what December. The signature is very, now this is my signature. If you can see, I never saw their signature until I was about 30 years old. Okay, that when I started dealing with the properties of the family, my signature is also resembles their signature. So there is something. Okay. So this is very emotional, whoever is related, like Annabella or my sister. The other thing here is the synagogue. My grandfather from my father's side, he was very religious. This is the only photo from the Yecutielis. My father that day didn't come. I left him a space here. So this is the only picture we have, all the Yecutielis. And here's the synagogue. My grandfather was very related to the synagogue. And once again, Jerusalem. Here at the back, this wall reminds is the western wall, the Kotel. Okay, you can see here. You can see. Danny, esta foto tu papá. This photo was done by Danny's father, Sidney Horowitz, which was a great man. Wow. Great photographer. Great photographer. Well, this picture is of him. So here, what I want to show you how Jerusalem is important for all of us, that in the synagogue, you see the windows here, is this window from Yaakov Agam. And also with, so all the issues with Jerusalem was very, very important. Here, I want to show you this.
Tu abuelo es un hombre conocedor de la Biblia. La Biblia para él hace parte de su vida. La conoce de memoria. Tocamos una tecla de cualquier versículo y termina su versículo diciéndolo.
This is our wedding. She was not pregnant, you can see it from the ground. In any event, the reason it was in Spanish, the rabbi was talking here about my grandfather, and he was saying that he knew a lot, he was very religious, he knew about the Torah, and basically that was. Here, I wanted to show you this person, okay, paid for the book. As you can see, the book I show you is a very expensive investigation. And so this person, this is the governor, okay, paid for the book. Okay, we are here, we came here to Israel because we were doing a security project. So we came here, and he came to the graves to honor my family. And he wanted to invest on the book, and he did it. But the thing is that while we were doing the book, Chavez broke relations with Israel. And I told him, listen, he knew I am Jewish, he knew I'm related to Israel. And even all that, he financed the book. He didn't care about the political cost that could mean. And we went through the project. It took about 2 years until we finished. Until today, we are in touch. He's very involved with the Chavez government, with the Maduro government. But he likes Israel. And he was born the same day of Herzl. So, you know. This is another video of my grandfather. Okay. Here, our lives in Venezuela. We have a very good life in Venezuela. Here's some collage, okay, which are they're very big collage. Just to give you an idea, this is like a summary of my life. Here's my grandparents. Here's about with my wife. Here's his brothers. So the collage is another way to share information. This is on our wedding, okay? But this is the only photos we have, okay? Samuel, I have his name, and Marcela has her name, okay? And that's the only photo we have together. This is the last time my grandfather went outside. He died after this wedding, okay? So it's the only photo we have. And it was also nice that Marcela and Samuel. And here today, I am related to real estate. So when I saw this picture, maybe my grandfather showed me the way. It took me many years, but maybe he showed me the way. The building with my name. Okay, here he showed me the way. Here, you know, like I am constructing, or I build myself based on his help. And here, so maybe this passion for real estate, I received it from him. And now the next part, I want to show you and to finish how I build the book, okay, the methodology. I will go very fast. This is the book, whoever wants to take a look, okay? First of all, what happened is, Anabela, here, we came, you were not here. You are the only one that is missing here, Anabela. But this was a solidarity trip in the year 2000. A month ago, my grandfather died. And here are all the directors, the important people of the community, and myself. I am here, you know, I'm not supposed to be here, but here you have the rabbi, and Daniel Slim, Michael Cortorescu, everyone. Now, what happened here, my grandfather just died, okay? Some of them here are Ashkenazi. They don't know who the grandfather is, where they're buried, because they died in the Holocaust. Okay, Daniel Slimak, for example, has Robi Croitorescu was born in this guy here, in a concentration camp. This guy Slimak has 50 people that died. Everyone has a different story here. And now in Jerusalem, and I have this back then, 3 generations that are buried in Jerusalem. Wow, I have to document it. So this photo, this event was the trigger to write this book. Here about some numbers, how many years it took me, how many, some statistics. So you can see it's a very book, very sophisticated. Raquel here, Raquel Marcus, she helped me to do this investigation, which was crazy. Here I used footers, glossary. One of the reasons I did all this, because I understood that we are talking to different publics. People that are Jews, others that are Jews, people that are in Israel, people that are in Venezuela, South America. So I have to find a language that everyone could understand. So even though you don't know Spanish, for example, you can see the book and it will be understandable because of the photo, because of the images. Okay? Historical context is, the book is about 90 years. So what's going around? For example, the family was supposed, they were going to do Aliyah in 1973. Then it happened, the Yom Kippur War, and they decide not to do the Aliyah. So what is happening around? This is the onomastic index for the genealogical people, so they can find the text. How many books I use, the bibliography, half of them are from Itzhak Keren. He gave me so many books that it was amazing. Here also, as you can see, each chapter has a cover, and I have explanations. Here's the cover and the back cover, many details. Here is, we're talking about the interviews, how everyone has a different perspective. This book was basically based on Joseph, on him, which is the oldest brother. He's a lawyer, so he knows how to explain, he knows how to talk. Most of the information was received from him. That's his wife. His wife gave me a different point of view. This here, back then, my father, he was single, stayed at her place. So she gave me, and she's a professor, she gave me very relevant information when they were on the 50s. She, as a girl, a little girl, 12 years old back then, she gave me information that he didn't know because he didn't arrive to Israel. So each one, have a different perspective, and that helped me to build the book. And this guy, okay, he's from Iran. He's in Venezuela, but Igal Cohen. He's in Venezuela. He knows Hebrew very well. He's also Persian. I found here in Israel a book, a Persian book. For me, it was very difficult to read it. He read the book and he gave me a summary, and that helped me to. So what I'm trying to give you, every perspective was useful. We have many families. We have a big family. So along the book, we have family trees to help. This is a timeline, okay, from 1900 until 2008 that they published. This line time helps me and the reader to understand what's going on in different times. Each color, what the family, what the community, the national, what's going on, to have an idea. The cemeteries is another issue. I found back then more than 40,000 graves. That gave me lots of information very relevant. For example, my great-grandfather, otherwise no one knew what was his name. So those are all the graves. Okay, this is when my grandmother died. Okay, I received from my aunt about eight photos. This is your what you received from your grandmother. This was one of the pictures. I didn't understood what we're talking about, so I was told, and I went to search in the Trumpeldor Cemetery, which is in Tel Aviv. Okay, I found the grave. Okay, she died relatively, my father didn't met her. She died relatively young. And when I look around, all these graves here belong to Ehada, Max Nordo, Moshe Sharel, Medis, all the big ones from Tel Aviv. You know, this is her, and this is Dizengoff, this is Ben Yehuda, all the great people. So by the way, right now, we are inheriting some money from her. She had in Eved Tzedek, she has a terrain. We are now in the Bulisa Yoheret Filosof. We are now in about 1 year, 2 years. We're going to receive some money from her.
She's a Salon.
No, Salonika is Papu. No, her husband. She was very, what I know, she was very, very well related.
She died 94 years ago.
Okay, yeah. 1931.
And now you have some kind of heritage.
We are going to heritage. Yes? We are.
The Solomicans, like Avi Philosoph.
Yes.
Who is a public.
Yeah, but she's not.
That's the same thing. He married Dahlia Robin. Same family.
I don't know. Itzhak, as I told you, he's an expert for the Sephardic genealogy. This family, I don't know them.
There were 3 brothers.
I don't know anyone. My father is here. He also doesn't know them. The information is very limited from her. The information is very limited from his mother. I don't have it. I just found the sons because I received the photos. So here, that's his husband. Papu, he's from, my grandfather, he knew the Papu. Okay, he knew him, he met him, Itzhak. Okay, so I went to search for him, but look at his name. Yitzhak ben Yaakov Cohen. When I went, no one knew where, no one told me where to look for it. When I went to the registry with this name, I found hundreds of names. Yitzhak ben Yaakov Cohen. My father, he has very good memory, he told me, listen, my sister was in the army. When he died, I remember my sister was in the army. So I know when she was born. I added 18 years old. So I know the year now. I called her. I was in the registry. That day, I have a flight back to Venezuela. So I told the girl in the registry, listen, I have to find the grave, and it's today because I'm leaving. I called my aunt and asked her about the grave. Yes, it was Hanukkah, because she's religious, her sister. So now I know the year, and I know December because it's Hanukkah. So that way I found the place. If you can see here the picture, I was sweating. It was very, very hot. It was many hours. And here I found the grave in Ramat Sharon. Okay? נו, שמה? לא, בית קברות שמה. קריית שאול. Okay, this here, which looks like my father, is not my father, is his cousin, that I met him, the same age, almost the same age. He's Yigal Binyamin, like him. They are cousins the same age, 1 month different. I met him in a speech. Here, he was among the public. Daniel, but when we were together in Tel Aviv, he was among the public. That was the first time I met him. Okay, he looks like my father. They're identical. It's amazing. Okay, and we have become very, very close. Okay, and here we went to visit the grave of his grandfather that he met him. He knew him very well. And by the way, here, now that I know I'm using this technology, graves, it's like a ways for grave. Here are all the people that helped me. Here is Professor Yecutieli. Once again, thank you. This is all the people that helped me along the way. Here is our host. Once again, you're everywhere, Daniel. Okay, and this is Raquel, that she helped me with the book. Sherry, Matilda. I knew Yecutieli through Matilda. I think she gave me your name.
Together,
Have a book.
right.
Yeah.
And the thing of Albert mentioned, Matilda, we kept her alive 5 years. She collapsed.
Okay.
The public lecture. Sydney Cork, he resuscitated her. I went out to get the ambulance, but she lived another 5 years. Together, we wrote the guidebook for
Sephardic.
Genealogy in Israel. We're going to start a book on the Balkans, and then she died.
Okay. So she gave me your name, and here, Annabella, Leo Corey. So, you know, there is many, many people that help me. So I want to tell you that Leo Corey, he's from Venezuela. He's now the president of the Open University. Yes, you know, he's very, he's a person that I like very much. Today I spoke with him, his birthday, by the way, today. Hoy es su cumpleaños.
יש סיבות לכך שאתה זז ממקום למקום ומחגר. הסיבות יכולות להיות שונות ומגוונות, אישיות, משפחתיות, סביבתיות וככה. שיש מעיר בושר נדידה והגירה לעיר הקודש ירושלים.
היא ספר עמוד באהבה למשפחה.
Will always remain alive because of this book and the magnificent photographs.
יש לו בהחלט חשיבות מאוד רבה כחומר גלם או כמקורות ראשוניים שבהם ניתן להשתמש גם בשביל מחקרים אחרים.
שאולי נפתח את הדרך למשפחות אחרות, נשמח שיש פה כבר כמה משפחות ותעקפם אנשים אחרים שיכולים
צריך לנסות לחשוב על המונחים של מה היה לגואירה ומה היה ונצואלה, כולל קרקס בשנים האלה, כדי לחשוב על ה...
So this is a documentary. Besides the book, this is a documentary that was shown in this festival. And as you can see, all the people that, you know, just came with me this journey, which is crazy. And I'm very proud of all. Here, where whoever wants, you can see the entire documental in YouTube. And here I found many matches, but I want to share this match especially. My grandfather died on May 21st, 21, 1 year after my marriage. Okay, but what is when he died in about a year space, Dita, ven acá, estoy contigo. No, el segundo no. This is related to you. Ruth is about her. So when he dies, in a time space of 1 year, okay, this is his three grandsons with the same name. I am the oldest one, Yecutieli Bicaco. This is the second one, and this is the third one, and my sister. Okay, the three of us here, we all under his name. We are different ages, and we are different cities. We all have our firstborn when he left, and my sister also have. So four. I want to mention especially these three. That what I'm trying to say that he left, but four came instead of him after he died. Okay, but only that, especially these three that have their name and in different ages. In my case, I was relatively old. I became father at 36. He was 29. This was 25, and different places. So all we have. Another coincidence. I don't think there are coincidences. I think it happened. That my grandmother, his mother, was born, but the mother of my grandfather died. One came instead of the other. And this way, I almost don't mention that, but I found many matches. When I have in my Excel, I have all the dates. There are many, many matches. It's amazing. Here is the entire family tree. Here it was a meeting. This was about 3 weeks ago. We have a meeting of the family. And my projects. Those are the two. This is my daughter, Tamar, the small one here. And this is my genealogical projects. This is one which is printed. This is almost done, but not printed. I want to do my wife from the father. And from, I started, I didn't finish, but I started. So the idea is that my daughters, I have 3 girls, will have the information of all the family from both sides.
A través de esta historia conocerán la vida de mi abuelo Samuel Yecutieli, un judío que en 1903 llegó junto a sus padres.
So this is the documento. And here, and this will be the last, here my grandfather, a few times, especially when we were in Maracay with the business, he told me Shvira Zav. Obviously, once again, I understood the word, but not the meaning. But as time goes by, he showed me the Shvira Zav. He showed me the path. Okay, it takes me many years. I learned slowly. So here's my grandfather. Okay, this is my last photo on my wedding with my grandfather. And I hope that one day I will be a grandfather to my grandchildren like you were to me. Okay? I honor my ancestors' path and aim to guide my family on the golden path. And here is my wife, the girls. And hopefully it's dedicated to my small girl that she will understand now much better our story. So you can So it was a long, if you have comments, questions, the books are there if you want to see a look at them. This presentation, I can send it to you if you want to see some details about the methodology. A question from him is difficult. He's the expert. So.
Biçaço, that they couldn't pay the tax and were sent to Ashkelon?
No, he was no. Salomon Bicaco, which is the father of my mother, he had the building, Leila building. He sold the building to pay the taxes.
Right, but you said he went to Ashkelon.
No, and since he paid,
he was exempt.
Yeah, he was exempt. Exactly.
Which you didn't tell us who is the answer, who is the relative who had all those photos.
Okay. My aunt.
That's important to know.
Yeah, you're right. I spoke to her yesterday.
She lives in Istanbul.
Yes. She's very close to me, but you're right. I'm going to add her. Is she? Yecutieli Bicaco. Okay. No, okay, papi, Rakrega. He was born in Israel. His 2 oldest brothers were born in Venezuela. I didn't enter in details. The oldest one, Joseph, was born in Venezuela, and the next one, Simon. And my grandfather didn't want that her kids grew up in Venezuela. They came back to Tel Aviv, was born the 3rd, which is a girl, and he's the last one. They were born here, and after he finished the army, he went to Venezuela and joined his father in the business. He did the army here, and then he's a police army.
So does he speak mainly Hebrew?
Yes, Hebrew. He lived there 55 years in Venezuela. His Spanish is very bad. It's like him. His Spanish, he also lived about 30 years. And his Spanish also very bad. He's from Brazil. Ken, Isaac, odd question? Isaac, odd question? Yes.
So you also grew up speaking Hebrew?
No, he always spoke to me in Hebrew. I answer in Spanish. Okay. Then we did Aliyah when I was 15 years old. I did Aliyah. I stayed 2 years here and I left. My sister, she stayed here. I left. So we always spoke in Hebrew. No, I mean, he spoke to me in Hebrew. I answered in Spanish. When I did Aliyah, I was 15 and 17. I started speaking Hebrew. And today, between us, we speak in Hebrew. And my Hebrew was very family-based. Okay. With his oldest brother, I also speak Hebrew, even though he knew Spanish, but it was impossible to speak to him in Spanish. And he's a lawyer. I think my Hebrew is better because of him, because we always have conflicts. So we fight in Hebrew. So he prepared for me for my second Aliyah, where I had to improve my Hebrew for professional reasons. Tamara, ¿tienes preguntas? My daughter, she will do the questions at home.
How you can make so beautiful?
No, that's my wife.
How you can make